It's a Victorinox Super Tinker. This is a knife I've been carrying every day for a couple of years now, and just finally getting around to do a review just to show you a couple of features on it. I carried this knife for probably 2 or 3 years before the scales eventually fell off after being dropped a couple of times. Now, one nice thing about these red scales is that they can be replaced very easily. You can buy a new set off eBay, there's vendors on Amazon, there's a lot of third-party sellers who will sell you scales that have been pulled off of confiscated TSA knives or brand new scales if they're a Victorinox vendor. But when I replaced my scales, I decided to go with the Plus scales, and that adds a slot for the pen, and it also adds a slot for a straight pen. Let's see here. There we go. So I find that straight pen to be handy quite a lot, actually. Various things, but typically splinters when the tweezers won't cut it. So those features are not part of the standard knife, but aside from the pen and the straight pen, you would normally have your 2 slots right here being the same for your tweezers on this side. Boy, this is not one to focus today. So you've got your small tweezers. These are pretty much standard. They've been the same for quite some time. Then you've got the toothpick, which probably comes in just as handy for cleaning the knife as it does for actually using it for its intended purpose. We'll use it to clean pocket length fuzz out of there and wipe it off. Wash it before you use it for a toothpick. But just looking at the features real quick, this has kind of what I consider to be the bare minimum for what I want to carry in a knife. It's got a flathead screwdriver up top, and then it's got a bottle opener here. Then you've got a can opener on this side, and you can also use the tip as a smaller flathead if you needed to. In the middle, you've got your scissors. Now, after 3 years, my scissors have gotten pretty dull. You can see, if this will focus ever, instead of reflecting, the scissors have a straight edge on them. Winger makes scissors that have a serrated edge, but Victorinox uses a straight edge on their scissors, so I need to find a way to sharpen those. They've really gotten dull over time. You've got your spring clip here. These are replaceable if you ever pop it out or break it by chance. And then on this side you've got your 2 blades. You've got your small blade and your large blade. Now, the one thing this doesn't have that I would really love is a set of pliers in the middle. And I went with this because I thought it would be pretty much the perfect size for pocket carry without being able to even notice it. And it really is. I slip it in the little coin pouch in the right pocket of my jeans and pretty much forget about it all day until it's there. But there's so many times when I would find pliers handy that I'd really like to upgrade to the deluxe Tinker model. So if you like the size of this but you think you could stomach the size increase from adding some pliers in, that's the next model up to look at. It does add a decent bit to the cost. I think last time I looked, you may pay anywhere from $5 to $10 more just for the pliers. But I also want to give you a size comparison for a couple other different Victorinox knives. Now, the one on top is the Ranger. Now, the Ranger has the most tools and the most compact size for a Swiss Army knife. Now, they've got pretty much everything you've got here, except they've also added in a nail file and a wood saw. And then on the bottom, you have more features. They've got a corkscrew, which is something I almost never use on the Ranger. And that's one of the reasons I like the Tinker line, because it has this Phillips head screwdriver on it. Now, being on the bottom, it kind of limits your ability to get to a lot of screws. If you've got to reach your screwdriver in some place, that's not going to happen. But for what I use it for, which is generally taking screws out of kids' toys to put new batteries in, it's invaluable for that. It also has a parcel hook on the bottom. This is a Super Tinker still, I'm not looking at the Ranger. which you can use. Their purpose is to carry parcels that are tied with twine. Some people also say they use them for their boots, to lace up their boots. Then you've got an awl on the bottom too, which can be handy at times. That's probably one of the more handy tools that is still left often used, but that parcel hook doesn't come into play a lot. And real quick, I'll show you a couple other ones in comparison. This is the Champion Plus. It's kind of the poor man's Swiss champ. Has all the tools of a Swiss champ, except it lacks the pliers. Now, very similar in size is the Cyberlite 34 tool. This is one of my favorite tools to carry all the time in a pack, but it is a bit heavy. I'll just show you a comparison there. There's a lot of similar tools, but this has a bit driver up top and it has pliers. And then it has the same other tools as the Super Tinker does, the 2 blades, the scissors, and the bottle opener and the can opener. So you can see what adding in the addition of pliers and the addition of this bit driver does for the width of the knife. And there's a lot of other different things on the back of that Cyberlite. So there is the Victorinox Super Tinker. It's a great everyday carry knife, but if you'd like a little more functionality for not a whole lot of extra size, go ahead and step up to the Deluxe Tinker and get yourself those pliers in there. And I really think you can't go wrong with either one for an everyday carry pocket knife multifunction tool.